My father said, "Your sister's family will always come first. You are always last." My mother nodded, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. That sentence rewired something in me. Hi, my name is Leah Moore and I'm 29, and that was the night I stopped being my family's unpaid safety net. For years, I'd bailed them out. My dad's overdue taxes, my mom's credit card bills, my sister's endless emergencies. Every time, they said they'd repay me when things settled. Spoiler: things never did. That night, over dinner, they made their hierarchy official. "Your sister has a baby now," Mom said. "She needs the help more than you. You're single, you'll understand." I didn't argue. I just stared at the flickering candle between us and said quietly, "Good to know." Dad smirked, thinking I was being dramatic. But that single phrase wasn't defeat, it was a boundary being built. The next morning, I opened a separate account, moved every cent I owned into it, changed my emergency contacts, told HR to remove my parents from my insurance benefits. No announcement. No warning. Just peace. When Mom texted asking for my half of a family gift fund, I replied, "I'm not participating this year. I'm building my own future." She sent back a thumbs down emoji. I smiled for the first time in months. That's when I realized I hadn't lost a family that night. I'd just stopped financing one that never saw me as part of it. And a few months later, when their emergency hit, they learned what good to know really meant. It was a Friday night when my phone buzzed with 10 missed calls, all from Mom. I was halfway through dinner with friends when her name flashed again. This time, I answered. Her voice trembled. "Leah, it's your sister. They're at the hospital. Gregory collapsed at work. They think it's serious. We need money for his emergency procedure. Can you transfer something now?" My fork froze midair. A few months earlier, they'd told me I didn't count, that I was last. Now, somehow, I'd become the first person they remembered when the bill arrived. "How much?" I asked, my tone neutral. $14,000, she said quickly. "You make good money, sweetheart. You can help. It's family." Family. The word she weaponized when convenient. I glanced at my untouched meal, the laughter of my friends fading around me. "Did you ask Dad?" "He already gave all he could," she said. "We thought you'd want to step up for your sister." "Like she's ever stepped up for me?" I asked quietly. There was silence. Then sharpness. "Don't be selfish, Leah. You're better than this." I almost laughed. "That's funny, Mom. Last time we spoke, you made it very clear where I stood." "I didn't mean it like that." "No, you did. And that's okay." I ended the call. For the first time, I didn't feel guilt, just clarity. Because somewhere between being their backup plan and their ATM, I'd forgotten that love without respect isn't love at all. But I wasn't done yet. If they wanted a lesson in consequences, they were about to get one, quietly, efficiently, and permanently. By morning, the family group chat was chaos. "Dad, we're at St. Mary's. Gregory's surgery is scheduled. Your mom's card declined. Send money immediately. Mom, don't make this harder than it already is. He could die." I read every message carefully, each one dripping with guilt and panic, before locking my screen and sipping my coffee in peace. 3 months ago, they told me I was always last. Now, they couldn't function without me. But I had a better idea than revenge. I had documentation. I called the hospital's billing department and asked to confirm the patient's name. The nurse said, "Yes, Gregory Lawson, listed under the financial care of Eleanor and Charles Morin." Perfect. That meant they'd signed the liability forms. I smiled. "No changes are needed," I said. "They're financially responsible for him." Then I hung up. By the afternoon, Mom texted again. "Leah, they're demanding an upfront deposit. They're saying I signed something. What did you do?" I didn't answer. I just forwarded her the message I'd kept for months, her own words. "Your sister's family will always come first. You are always last." And below it I wrote, "I'm just respecting the order you set. No shouting. No drama. Just reflection, delivered in the currency they understood best." When I checked social media later that night, my sister had posted a hospital selfie with the caption, "Hardest week of our lives. Some people show their true colors in crisis." She wasn't wrong. For the first time I had. 2 days later, there was a knock at my apartment door. When I opened it, Mom stood there, eyes red, voice trembling, holding her purse like a peace offering. "Leah, we need to talk." Behind her was Dad, silent and stoic, as if his pride were keeping him upright. I stepped aside. "Come in." She didn't waste time. The hospital froze Gregory's procedure halfway until we paid the balance. Do you know what that's like? Watching your daughter's husband lying there while paperwork decides if he lives? I met her gaze. Sounds like something you should have thought about before signing liability papers. Her lips trembled. "You're enjoying this." "No," I said quietly. "I'm learning from it." Dad finally spoke. "You've made your point. Now help your sister. We'll talk later." I turned to him. "You made your point first, remember? You said her family would always come first." I just agreed. He sighed, frustration breaking through. "Stop twisting my words. Your family too." I smiled faintly. "Now I am." They looked at each other, realizing, maybe for the first time, that the power dynamic had flipped. "I already spoke to the hospital," I said. "Gregory's bill is settled." Mom blinked. "You paid it?" "Not exactly. I contacted his employer's insurance representative. Turns out his coverage was more extensive than you thought. The balance was cleared, through his own plan." Their mouths fell open. I leaned back against the counter. "You didn't need me. You just needed someone to finally read the fine print." Dad's face paled. Mom's eyes welled. For once, I wasn't the problem. I was the mirror. After that day, the calls changed. No more shouting, no guilt trips. Just cautious tones, the kind people use when they're afraid of breaking something valuable. "Mom, how are you, sweetheart?" "Dad, we should have dinner soon, it's been too long." I almost laughed. For years, they'd treated me like the invisible middle child who existed only to fund their comfort. Now, suddenly, I was someone they respected. Or rather, someone they couldn't afford to underestimate. Gregory's surgery had gone well. My sister sent a half-hearted thank you text that ended with, "I'm sorry if things got weird. We were stressed." I stared at it for a while, then replied, "Things didn't get weird. They just got honest." Because honesty was what had been missing all along. Beneath every "we're proud of you" that really meant "you're useful to us." That weekend, Dad showed up unannounced with an envelope. "A small repayment," he said awkwardly. I didn't take it. "Keep it," I told him. "You'll need it next time your priorities come calling." He looked confused. "You're not angry?" "No," I said, pouring myself coffee. "Anger is temporary. Boundaries are permanent." He nodded slowly, like the words stung more than shouting ever could. When they left, my apartment felt different. Lighter, quieter. It was the first time I realized I didn't need revenge. I'd already won the moment they started treating me carefully. Because power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from no longer needing them to see your worth. A month later, I got another message from my sister, an invitation to her daughter's birthday dinner. That alone was strange. I hadn't been invited to anything in years that didn't involve me paying for it. Still, curiosity won. I went. When I arrived, the restaurant table looked almost theatrical. Silver balloons, cake, gifts, and the whole family sitting there like nothing had ever happened. Mom waved nervously. "Leah, you came." Dad cleared his throat. "We wanted to start fresh." I smiled, taking my seat. Of course. I wouldn't miss a family gathering. The waiter brought menus, and Mom said, "It's on us tonight." That alone nearly made me laugh. Dinner was pleasant, too pleasant. Forced small talk, strained laughter. Then halfway through dessert, Gregory raised his glass. "Before we toast," he said, "I want to thank Leah for helping us during the hospital chaos. We really appreciate it." My sister shot him a warning look, but I just nodded. "You're welcome." Though if I remember correctly, I didn't actually pay anything. I just read the paperwork. The table went quiet. Dad coughed. Yes, well, that still helped. I set my fork down, leaning back. Funny. Reading things thoroughly is what I do best. I actually reviewed Grandpa's trust papers last week. Mom froze. Why would you? I smiled sweetly. Because you made me his co-trustee years ago, remember? I thought I'd check the clauses before anyone else misunderstands their share. The air thickened. No one spoke. For the first time, I didn't feel small at that table. I felt centered. And this time, no one dared look away. The silence that followed my last words hung heavy. Mom's fork slipped from her hand. Dad cleared his throat, forcing a weak chuckle. You're joking, right? I looked at him, calm and certain. No, Dad. I'm not. Mom whispered. Leah, you can't be serious. That property, your grandfather meant that for the family. He did. I agreed softly. For the family, not just your favorite branch of it. Across the table, my sister's smile faltered. What are you saying? I'm saying the trust review revealed something interesting. Grandpa never transferred final control to either of you. I hold equal authority over every asset under that fund, properties, investments, even the shares in the company Dad's been bragging about for years. The air froze. You're bluffing, Dad hissed. I slid a neatly folded paper onto the table, notarized documents with legal seals gleaming under the restaurant's warm light. You can call the attorney if you'd like. His number's on the back. Mom's hand trembled as she reached for the paper. You wouldn't use this against us. I wouldn't have to, I said. You've done enough damage on your own. I'm just protecting what's mine now. My sister stood abruptly, knocking over her glass. This isn't fair. Neither is years of being treated like a mistake, I said quietly. This isn't revenge. It's balance. Dad slumped back, speechless. Mom stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. And maybe she was, because for the first time, I wasn't the family shadow. I was the storm they'd created, finally learning how to strike. A week later, the phone calls began again. Softer this time, almost rehearsed. Mom. Leah, we've been thinking, maybe you could help us restructure the trust accounts? Dad. You've got a good head for these things. We could use your insight. I almost laughed. Just months ago, I was the selfish one. Now I was suddenly the smart one. But I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt free. I met with Grandpa's attorney that Friday. He confirmed what I already knew. Every document, every clause was legitimate. I could dissolve, redistribute, or freeze assets with a single signature. He smiled kindly. You've handled this with restraint. Your grandfather would have been proud. Restraint, the very thing my family never showed me. That night, I logged into the shared financial account. Instead of cutting them off, I quietly restructured everything. Every future withdrawal, purchase, or loan request now required my approval. No confrontation. No revenge speech. Just quiet, permanent accountability. The next morning, my phone buzzed. Dad. Card declined at the dealership. Something wrong with the account. Me. Nothing wrong. Just balanced. He didn't reply. I walked out to the balcony, watching the sun rise over the city. The same view I once dreamed of escaping to. Now it was mine. Every choice, every boundary, every dollar. And in the peace that followed, I realized something profound. I hadn't destroyed my family. I'd simply rewritten the hierarchy they built on my silence. Revenge hadn't required rage. Just clarity. And clarity, I learned, was the most beautiful payback of all.